Tonight on News 5 Live, Jamal Eligio succumbs to gunshot injuries following a drive-by shooting in Belize City. A watchman is shot in the face by a gunman at Excelsior High School. A bushfire destroys a house that was home to a father and his son on Curl Thompson Street. Public Service Union says that it will fight for its Hilltop headquarters in court. Ocean heroes in marine conservation are named, and News 5's Andrea Palanco is awarded Environmental Journalist of the Year. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
Hi, Donna. Championship title and the grand prize. There will be fabulous door prizes and great entertainment. KTV Latino Season 4. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
KTV Latino.
Welcome to News 5 Live from Monday, October 7th. I am Marlene Cuellar. 3 days after he was shot in the back, Jamal Eligio died while receiving treatment at the Carl Huchter Memorial Hospital. Eligio was standing along with his cousin Justin Richards and a third person, Markin Drury, on Santa Barbara Street in the South Side when they came under fire from someone in a vehicle that drove by. Richard was injured but survived the shooting. Word on the street is that Eligio had a confrontation with a rival group, and that cost him his life. News 5's Isani Caetano reports.
When we heard a gunshot, I'm going to my daughter, along the lane, and when I swing back, I hear the gunshot, and I swing back. When I swing back, I go home and I ask if I don't hear the gunshot. They say, I like, out so. So my oldest daughter said, I say, Sasha, you don't hear a gunshot? So I said, no. So I jump on my bike and I ride to go sit that way part.
A mother's intuition upon hearing a volley of gunshots in the distance led her to the scene of a shooting on Santa Barbara Street, not knowing that her son and nephew, along with a third person, were victims of a drive-by attack. 31-year-old Justin Richards, his cousin Jamal Eligio, and Marquin Dury were all standing on the street sometime around 8 o'clock on Thursday night when a vehicle drove up on them. A spray of bullets succeeded.
When I look, so I tell just police going down Santa Barbara Lane. Then I ride it and I see a crowd of police out there on the street. So once I hear the police asking neighbors if you know, sit down, who? A young man say, see one of them there, you know. And then I move off and I come back and tell my daughter, it's Justin there. But I never contact my nephew too.
24-year-old Jamal Eligio suffered a gunshot wound to the back, an injury he would not recover from. Over the weekend, he passed away at the Carl Huchter Memorial Hospital.
On Sunday, the 6th day of October 2019, Jamal Eligio died at the KHMH while undergoing treatment. These persons had been shot on that date, and this person succumbed to his injuries.
Do the investigators know anything else additional since the shooting happened and this weekend has
Nothing additional was obtained. The investigation for that is ongoing likewise.
According to Justin Richards' mother, who asked to remain anonymous, investigators are yet to reach out to the family. All she knows is that her son and nephew received varying degrees of injury as a result of the deadly shooting.
But all I know, they say Jamal get shot in his shoulder part. Yeah. My son get shot in his neck. That's all we know.
Jamal is dead?
Yeah.
How does your son stand?
My son come out right now. He didn't want the rest.
According to Senior Superintendent Gilberto Romero, several persons have been detained and interviewed, and an investigation into the incident is ongoing. Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
Within days of taking up a job as a security officer, Rodman Welch was shot. The stevedore was eating while on duty at Excelsior High School when he came under fire on Saturday night. A gunman targeted Welch as he sat inside the security booth. The bullet hit him on the face, injuring his jaw. Welch's mother could not point to a motive, but says there may be a situation that she's not aware of. News 5's Isani Caetano reports.
A stevedore who took a part-time job as a watchman at Excelsior High School was shot while at his post over the weekend. Rodman Welch had only just taken up the job a few days earlier when he was targeted by a lone gunman inside a security booth on the school compound. He was shot in the face at point-blank range.
On Saturday, the 5th day of October 2019, police responded to a shooting incident at the security booth at Excelsior High School. Upon their arrival, they were informed that the male person had been shot. This person was escorted to the KHMH. He was identified as Rodman Welch. He received 1 gunshot injury to the face. He is presently admitted at the KHMH in a critical condition undergoing treatment.
According to Welch's mother, the round that struck him in the face has left the 33-year-old with a broken jaw.
I just say, actually I don't really say nothing. I just asking question because then they make one thing tie wrong head. And he tell me that the bullet gone in so, and he bust out the side and he jawbone broke and my teeth come out. That's the way he tell me. So far right now, like, he can't talk, he can't open his mouth to talk. You understand? And it is spit blood.
How long has your son been working at Excelsior as a security guard?
About a week and a half, because that's not his job. He know a stevedore. He work back at port, but then the sugar ship gone from a pass, and then he say, well, they may need somebody to refill the space as somebody gone on vacation. And then he decide, well, he can hold it for the 2 or 3 weeks when they want to do it for now, till the person come back.
Police say that Welch was having a meal when a lone gunman caught him off guard.
He was eating his food. A male person arrived and fired 1 shot at him, and then the person fled the area.
Nothing to suggest if he had a firearm, so they came for that?
Nothing to suggest that he was just doing security duties at that time.
Could Welch's shooting be the result of a previous incident in which there was an altercation with someone? His mother says she has no idea of a prior misunderstanding, but wouldn't swear for her injured son.
My son, they're not like a hangout person or a street side person, right? What I know, if they want to take the lead drink, they're right up here on this veranda or across the house where he live over there, right? But as I say, I can't say if nothing ever there, if they never had no issue, because you don't know what happened behind your back. You understand me? But as far as what I say, that's the way I know about them. You understand? But I don't want to say good and I don't want to say bad because maybe I only see the good situation.
Reporting for News 5, I am Isana Cayetano.
There were 2 cases of unlawful sexual intercourse reported in the Cayo and Corozal districts. In the West, a report has been made by a young girl. Police visited the Western Regional Hospital on Sunday evening to interview the young student, who, in the presence of her mother, told police that she'd been sexually violated by someone close to her. According to the report, since November of 2018 and up until mid-August 2019, her stepfather would beat and rape her. The bad situation is made even worse because the minor is reportedly pregnant and is experiencing medical difficulties. And up north, a mother accompanied her 14-year-old daughter to the Corozal police station where the minor reported to the cops that she had illegal sexual intercourse with her boyfriend on September 27, 2019 at her house. She also reported that she had also engaged in illegal sex with another man when she was merely 13 years old. Police are investigating another sexual crime against a female. Also in the Cayo district, a 24-year-old woman reported to police that just after midnight on October 5th, she was in the company of a man who is also from the same village. The man invited her to his house, and soon after they got inside, he grabbed her by the neck, dragged her to a bed, and had sex with her against her will. The alleged perpetrator was detained by police soon after and has been identified as Servando Mendez. He has since been charged for rape. At Friday's House meeting, area Representative Julius Espat made a presentation on the political interference in the election process. Tensions quickly heightened during a meeting on September 28 in Georgeville, Cayo. Representatives of 22 villages of that district met with officials from the Ministry of Human Development, including former UDP Minister Ruben Campos. The meeting was to elect the Cayo District Association of Village Councils. However, a testy back and forth resulted in the process disrupted and the meeting abruptly adjourned. Espat told Parliament that such political interference has tainted the election process. According to Espat, Campos told village representatives that the elections would be held by zones. This received roaring objections, which led to the elections being called off and the meeting adjourned.
The elected village council reps were then informed by Mr. Ruben Campos that the NAVCO president would conduct the elections. And he explained the assembly would vote for president and that each zone would vote for 2 representatives. After seeking clarification, he insisted that each constituency in the Cayo district was a zone, and only villages in those constituencies would be allowed to vote. The large majority of the elected village councils representative present had great contention with that position and adamantly expressed their disagreement. They insisted that the zone meant the entire district and that the entire assembly should vote. It was argued that the regulations did not define zones. A motion was presented by Mr. Jervis Banner, who is Roaring Creek's 2-time elected chairman, and seconded by Mr. Mario Lopez, who is the Valley of Peace 3-time elected councillor, that the assembly should vote on the interpretation of the zone as inclusive of the entire district or constituency. The motion was disregarded, Madam Speaker, even after the floor furiously insisted. Mr. Jervis Banner, Madam Speaker, who is Roaring Creek 2-time chairman, then presented a second motion, preempted his motion that the position that if the district would be to zone, it is the assembly that should vote on the constitution of the zone, Madam Speaker. A proposed motion of zoning was proposed. The recording secretary recorded the motion and then asked for a second, which was provided by Mario Lopez. The DAVCO vice president, who was now ordained by the head table as having the final say, refused to put the motion to vote and accepted a motion, Madam Speaker, for adjournment by the minority of the people that were in the assembly, which is again against the rules.
Coming up, PSU says it is heading to court to settle the matter of its former hilltop property.
As part of
Public Service Union is not giving up its headquarters in Belmopan so easily. Last month, attorney Esteban Pereira sent the PSU a letter on behalf of Simplex Designs Limited, which acquired the property. The letter told PSU President Gerald Henry that the property must be vacated by October 31, 2019. Pereira warned the PSU that failure to comply will result in eviction. Well, the PSU has decided that the matter will proceed to court. A release issued today states that based on additional information provided to the union and based on legal advice, the Council of Management has unanimously decided to have a court decide on the property. The release says, quote, "The nature of law is very simple. Changes in circumstances or one key piece of evidence can determine a case. In this regard, we believe that we have found this critical piece of evidence," unquote. Win or lose, the PSU says it will march in unity. Meanwhile, the union is looking to secure an additional property to safeguard the stability and continuity of the PSU. The union's headquarters was sold by the Belmopan City Council to a Corozal Asian businessman, the owner of Simplex Designs Limited. A house was destroyed by fire in Belize City. According to residents in the Jane Usher Boulevard area, the two persons who lived inside the house weren't at home when the fire started in some bushes near the house. Residents say that the fire was set to control the mosquitoes in the area, but the dry bush and vehicle tires set the blaze out of control. Reporter Andrea Polanco has more in the following story.
A father and son lost everything they owned on Friday night when a fire destroyed their house on Carl Thompson Street. The pair was living in a small wooden structure located next to the basketball court on Jane Usher Boulevard for about 12 years. They weren't at home when the fire started shortly after 6 o'clock. Resident Russell Richards lives directly across the street. He alleges that a group of children set the bushes on fire to chase away the mosquitoes, but that fire got out of control and destroyed the house.
The fire started, kids playing with fire, trying to chase mosquitoes, and it just spread up to where you see it is. It spread across and catch some tires that was filling the yard, and from there it just gone.
So it destroyed a little home that was here.
It destroyed a one-bedroom home with a toilet, outdoor toilet that was there.
Is that an action that they always take, light the bushes of fire to maybe chase away the mosquitoes?
Yes, they always do it. They always do it, you know, and I guess this one get out of control and end up where you see it is now.
So it destroyed the families, all of their belongings?
Everything that they own, including a bicycle, everything inside.
Firefighters received a call about the bushfire shortly after it started. They responded to the scene and there they found grass and tires burning. Station Supervisor Kenneth Mortis says that they haven't been able to confirm who started the fire.
On our arrival, indeed, we found an open area that had some overgrown vegetation along with some tires that was burning, which created a level of panic. We got into operation trying to extinguish that particular fire. The wind direction through our wrenching operations, whereby a wooden structure approximately 12 by 14 of plywood construction was eventually engulfed in the fire and totally destroyed. We tried to speak to some of the neighbors to back up that claim, but nobody wanted to provide us with any information. As it is, as we're standing here today, the fire department has no concrete evidence as to who exactly lives in the premises, how many individuals actually occupy the premises.
According to Richards, this is not the first time the property, which forms a part of the park, has caught fire. Richards says that the area has become a problem for the neighborhood. What should be a well-maintained park has become overgrown with bushes and breeding ground for mosquitoes. Roberts says that they need help to address the problem for safety and health reasons.
This is a part of the park. I'm pleading to the mayor to come and see the situation, try to fill this park, clear down these bushes, and try to do something for this area. It's not only the fire we have with this bush. If you notice, for some years we have violence in the same neighborhood. And anytime this bush come up, people dead in this area because they dodge people in the bush. They do a lot of things with this bush. We have a mosquito problem. That's why I believe that it was in trying to stem the mosquito in the area, and that was cause it, because the kids were playing in the park at the same time when I saw the fire started. So it started over by the bleachers, and from there it spread across to where it is over on this side.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
A resident of Trio Village in Toledo District is hospitalized in a critical condition following a chopping incident on Sunday night in the village. Alejandro Scholl was struck to the neck with a machete by another resident in front of a supermarket in the village. At this time, authorities have not been able to ascertain a motive for the chopping, but can confirm that Scholl was attacked by a machete-wielding man. Police say they're looking for a main suspect in this attempt made on Scholl's life.
Around 9:50 p.m., police responded to a report of a chopping incident in Trio Village. Upon their arrival, they received information that one Alejandro Xoll, 42 years, Guatemala national, was chopped to the neck and was taken to the Southern Regional Hospital, where he remains in a critical condition.
What is the investigation showing so far?
Well, detectives are on the ground. They're recording statements to determine what transpired, why this person was chopped.
Has the weapon used been recovered? And
no.
Do police suspect that the alleged perpetrator is still in the country, is still in the area?
We are looking for one suspect in this matter, and the weapon has not been recovered.
One man has been charged for last Wednesday's attempt on the life of Eugene Tillett. The Belize City resident was shot on Ebony Street as he made his way to Central American Boulevard. According to official details, the gunman appeared and fired a single shot, and he is now in a critical condition at the KHMH. Senior Superintendent Alberto Romero says that a fisherman from Lavender Street has been charged for the shooting.
In regards to the shooting incident that occurred on Ebony Street, where Eugene Tillett was shot Wednesday, the 2nd day of October 2019, police arrested and charged Ermon Tillett, 27 years, Belizean fisherman of Lavender Street, for attempted murder, dangerous harm, and use of deadly means of harm.
Sir, now that someone has been charged, has police been able to determine what motivated that shooting?
We do not have a motive at this time. He just mentioned that he was shot by this person who was charged.
Has the firearm been recovered?
The firearm was not recovered.
A minor is currently admitted in a stable condition at the KHMH after he was shot on Sunday night near South Creek Bridge. 16-year-old Emery Reyes was among a group of persons standing on Ramsey Street in Southside Belize City when several gunshots rang out. The group scattered, but Reyes was injured. He was rushed to the hospital shortly after. Police say that while the investigation is ongoing, it is the second shooting that occurred in that area, and they have since put in place checkpoints to mitigate the gun violence in the area.
Minor Emery Reyes, 16 years, received a gunshot injury to the right arm. He reported that he was in that particular area when he was approached by a male person who fired a single shot, and he received that single gunshot injury.
Sir, do you know whether the minor was the intended target in the shooting?
That investigation is ongoing at this time. We know that he was in that area when he was shot.
No, sir, this area is close to where the shooting of the security guard took place, all of that. Is there anything to believe that, or is police looking at the fact that gun violence is increasing in this area, this Southside area?
Yes, we had those two shooting incidents, so we are addressing that issue. We have 2 checkpoints not far from that area, and other patrols that are within that area, so definitely we will look into that.
2 fishermen escaped unhurt on Marine Parade after a gunman fired several shots in their direction. Michael Hemmons and Shelton Reyes were at the pier near Golden Bay when a van drove up and a person inside opened fire at the unsuspecting duo. Luckily, none of them were injured in the shooting and they escaped with their lives. Senior Superintendent Gilberto Romero shares details on what transpired, but says that investigators are yet to determine a motive for the gun violence.
On the 30th of October 2019, around 4:55 p.m., police responded to a shooting incident on Marine Parade. Upon their arrival, they spoke to Michael Hemmons and one Shelton Reyes, who reported that they were cleaning fish at that area. That is an area where they usually have their products for sale. A van arrived at the area. Thereafter, a male person exited the van and fired several shots at them. Fortunately, no one was injured, and the van sped off thereafter.
Do the victims have any idea as to why they were targeted, sir?
So far, the investigation is ongoing. They mentioned that they were just doing their regular work there when they were approached by this person who fired shots at them.
This morning, Corporal Kent Martinez, the police officer accused of pulling the trigger and causing the death of teacher Allison Major, was back before the court. Last week, he made an application seeking permission to travel out of the country, but that was not even an issue today. Instead, the prosecutor, Corporal Noel Muschamp, gave the accused partial disclosure in the form of 60 pages of information. The matter was then adjourned for November 13, 2019. Outside the courtroom were family members of Major, including his father and common-law wife. They were disturbed by the fact that every time they asked to go inside the courtroom to hear the proceedings, they claimed they're given the runaround. Today, when they got inside, the matter was already dealt with. The corporal was arraigned on a charge of manslaughter on July 31, 2019, 2 weeks after the deadly shooting of the teacher in the area of Swing Bridge, following a high-speed chase between police and Major. 2 shots were heard coming from the vehicle chasing Major. The first hit the vehicle's tire, the second hit Major on his head. His relatives say that he was killed without justified cause. He was shot behind the ear and grazed on his neck 5 years ago. But today, after more than 5 years, 27-year-old Andrew Augustine wants no court action against the accused shooter. The shooter was identified as Stephen Anderson, who was charged for the attempted murder and is now a free man. This morning, in the Court of Justice Marilyn Williams, the shooting victim said he has forgiven his shooter. The issue now lies with the Belize Police Department, who he said is well aware of the reason why he was shot and almost died back in 2014. Augustine told the justice that when he came to court this morning, he noted that the police officers he had reported made up the prosecution list of witnesses to call in his case. Augustine wanted to know why none of the police officers had been charged for leaving him in the PIV turf to be killed. Justice Williams explained that he will need to follow up with the Professional Standards Branch. The DPP's office then entered a nolle prosequi against Anderson, and he was free to go. On February 23, 2014, Augustine, a resident of Balan Street, was shot while walking on Jasmine Street. The Crown evidence was that Augustine was released on Flamboyant Street, and as he was walking to his home, he was shot by someone on bicycle who he identified as Anderson back in 2014. After the break, Oceana names Heroes in Ocean Conservation and awards Andrea Polanco as Environmental Journalist of the Year.
only loads of treats with NextGen.
Oceania's heroes in marine conservation work were named over the weekend. They're persons who have made an impact in working to safeguard and conserve the ocean through sustainable practices. First, News 5's Andrea Polanco, who has distinguished herself in the region for journalistic reporting on environmental issues, was recognized by Oceania. Andrea was named Environmental Journalist of the Year. Second, the two heroes, Guadalupe Lampea and Dale Fairweather, were fisher folks who have spent their lives advocating for the sustainability of the fishing industry. Here is Hippolyta Novello with this report.
Since 2009, Oceania Belize has been recognizing Belizeans for their crucial work and contributions to ocean conservation. These wave makers are called Ocean Heroes, and on Saturday during a brief ceremony in Belize City, two great contributors were added to the growing list. The call for nomination was made, and according to Oceania Vice President Janelle Trinona, nominees needed to possess certain elements and the love for what they do.
In our nomination process, we ask for impact, national in scope, long-term impact to call out sustainable actions and practices, and certainly commitment, documentation of dedicated commitment to this. We don't want somebody doing something as part of a project or something. This is really about a lifetime commitment, and all our awardees to date have really borne that out.
Ocean Hero 2019 Dale Fairweather found his love for the sea in Placencia, where he grew up. He has been a fisherman since 1985, searching for conch, lobster, and finfish at Turner's Atoll. Fairweather has progressed with the times advocating for sustainable practices within the fisher folk community.
I fish for deep slope fishing, and I also dive for lobster and conch. So a day for me is doing one of those, either fishing for finfish or diving for lobster and conch. And it's just like another job. I work from 6 in the morning until midday. I take an hour off, have a lunch, and I work from 1 o'clock until 6 in the evening. So basically it's a 12-hour day. I also try as best as I can to advocate for change. And in our fishing industry right now, we take everything. Right? So we need to change. We need to leave the big ones so that they can have eggs and reproduce a stock. We need to have what we call a breeding stock. And we need to work with the fisheries department. We need to work with the NGOs and really sit down and listen to what the fishermen are telling them, so that they can create something like that. A breeding stock for lobsters, it's easy. You could do it for fish, finfish. You don't have to take everything all the way up because there will be none left to reproduce.
Since she was a girl, Guadalupe Lampella has been part of the fisher folk community. Lampella became a strong and influential fisherwoman within the community. She grew up in southern Belize, where she realized that fish stock was depleting rapidly and decided to advocate for sustainable practices. In 2016, she was recognized as Outstanding Fisher Folk. Lampella was not able to make it to the ceremony. She was represented by her son, David Mendoza.
The most important person in my life is my mom. She means everything to me, and I know she'll be more than honored to be here receiving this award. Pretty much everything I've known, is from my mom. I have to give thanks to her for everything that I've learned is from her. She's been pretty much my mom and dad at the same time, so that's what makes her so special to me. She always talks a lot, about her and my uncle. They were two that always used to work together. So she gave me some amazing story. I mean, left me like, whoa. For being a woman, it's real amazing.
Chanona says that it is important for the community to recognize the need for sustainable practices within the fishing industry.
I think it is not lost on any of us as Belizeans how important the sea is to us in terms of cultural identity, in terms of jobs through tourism and fishing, and just in terms of who we see ourselves as Belizeans, second longest barrier reef in the world as one word kind of thing. But I definitely feel that this event really highlights that the sea is something truly that connects all of us, whether, it's stories through food, through culture, through our livelihoods. It's really the great unifier, and at a time when so much of life is trying to divide us, it's really heartfelt and heartwarming that the sea brings us together.
As part of the ceremony, News 5's Andrea Polanco was awarded Environmental Journalist of the Year. Reporting for News 5, Hippolyta Novello.
This December will mark 2 years since Belize has been without a Contractor General. At the end of 2017, when the government attempted to reappoint Godwin Arzu for another term, the Senate rejected the proposal since Arzu had failed to provide the required reporting. Arzu's contract was therefore not renewed, and since then his post has been vacant. According to the Prime Minister, one of the challenges in replacing Arzu is the restrictions in the law. According to the law, the Contractor General cannot work for the government after he completes his term. So a new piece of legislation was introduced at Friday's House meeting that eliminates that restriction. The area representative for Freetown, Francis Fonseca, was quick to point out that the post is not one for the public service.
We've been so long without a Contractor General, and the situation is really quite intolerable. We have advertised, and we actually had an instance where there was an applicant who appeared to be completely fit and proper, and we were going to proceed and consult and move a motion for his appointment. And then that applicant said, listen, I've thought about it, and I am relatively young, and this provision in the law that would prevent me from ever getting a job in the public service after my appointment as Contractor General would have expired is something I'm not prepared to countenance. And that person therefore withdrew the application. The NTUCB is saying to us, well, advertise in the Caribbean and bring in somebody from abroad. I really think that we should make another effort to get a local, and it is the hope of the government that with that particular provision being removed, our chances of finding a suitably qualified applicant will increase.
We certainly want to place on record that we feel it is absolutely misguided and a mistake to amend the law to remove that condition for appointment. The Office of Contractor General, Madam Speaker, is a special creature of law. It's a special creature of governance with very specific and very critically important duties and responsibilities under the law. So the law as it stands now clearly states that it is not an office in the public service. That the amendment doesn't change that today. It's not an office in the public service. It further states that the Contractor General shall be appointed without regard to political affiliation and solely on the basis of integrity and demonstrated ability in accounting. It lists a number of areas: accounting, auditing, public administration, law, management analysis, financial analysis, all of these areas.
When we come back, the leader of the opposition puts a question to the Minister of Works seeking disclosure on those landowners being compensated in the expansion of a stretch of highway in the West.
KTV Latino, the show you've been waiting for, is back for another season. Join us at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts for the first live show on Tuesday, October 8th at 8:30 p.m. Come see this year's new KTV Latino contestants as they compete for the championship title and the grand prize. There will be fabulous door prizes and great entertainment. KTV Latino Season 4. It's hot, it's live, and it's only on 5.
KTV Latino.
The government of Belize has borrowed more than $50 million to upgrade 20 miles of the George Price Highway from the Roaring Creek Bridge to the Hawksworth Bridge in Santa Elena, Cayo. The first multi-million-dollar loan was made in 2015, and in 2018 an additional $14 million were borrowed from the International Development Bank for the reclamation of land along the highway. In November 2018, the Prime Minister told the House of Representatives that acquiring properties was necessary to allow for the widening of the highway and would be negotiated with the landowners at a reasonable price. The negotiations were anything else but reasonable, and on Friday, Opposition Leader John Brisenia asked Works Minister Rene Montero for the list of persons who are being compensated and the cost being paid to them.
Will the Minister of Works please provide this Honourable House with the list of those with whom government is negotiating or has agreed to pay such compensation, and how much has been agreed to be paid to each person or entity?
Madam Speaker, I had previously responded to his first question, but now the Honourable Member is asking for further details, including names of individuals who were compensated and the amount. A request I have no problem acceding to. But in all fairness to those persons, Madam Speaker, who might not appreciate that their names are called on national radio and television, I am furnishing the member with a list under separate cover.
We have no confidence in what we've been seeing lately of what has been taking place in the
Honourable
Ministry
Member,
of Works. Madam Speaker, it's important for me to put it on record.
Honourable Member.
But I also want to point out, Madam Speaker, that it is a follow-up on what he said, that we have every
Honourable
right. It is taxpayers'
Opposition.
monies, and we have every right to be able to get the answers. So I'll
thank
be
you.
waiting for the
Thank
letter.
you very much.
And if we don't answer me properly, I will come back again and I will ask and ask.
Honourable
until he
Member, that
gives
is your
us his name as
privilege.
to have full disclosure on how the taxpayers' people's monies
That
are
is
being
your
spent.
In 2018, the Ministry of Agriculture commenced the Belize Agricultural Census. Some 20 enumerators were deployed out in the field to collect data. It was originally planned that the census would be completed within 9 months. The information gathered would then be analyzed and compiled into the National Georeference Farm Registry. The registry would include the number of farmers countrywide, their products, and quantity of what they produce. But as Orange Walk South Area Representative Jose Mai pointed out on Friday, it is a crying shame that the census has yet to be completed.
It's a shame. A simple census that would last 9 months is lasting now 16 months. I could understand delay by 2-3 months. Well, this is a disgrace, Madam Speaker. And then, now, if you look at, from the moment you saw them operating, you know something was wrong. Madam Speaker, there are 20 enumerators. Imagine, 20 enumerators working for a census. Every single cane farmer has to be counted. You're talking 5,000 cane farmers, 20 enumerators, you're talking 250 per enumerator. This is madness. No wonder they can't finish the census. And it's a simple thing, man. Now the farmers are saying, Mr. Mai, we are being told now because the Prime Minister was on, it was the 21st September speech where he said that, or another press conference, I think, where he mentioned that farmers will get help because of the drought. But now they're saying, no, the farmers have to come into the office and let them be counted. This is madness. The farmers have to go to the enumerators now. Man, this is a simple survey. The Minister for Agriculture and his staff have to do some work.
One more issue from last Friday's House sitting. In 2018, the cost of electricity spiked twice. Later that year, Belize Electricity Limited made a formal request to the Public Utilities Commission for an increase of 0.2 cents per kilowatt hour as the mean electricity rate. The request was made for the company to recover approximately $18.8 million spent out of pocket to purchase energy from Mexico. The request was denied, and despite the high cost of power, BL decided not to pass it on to consumers. Cayo Northeast Area Representative Orlando Habet on Friday said that currently the cost of electricity is high, crippling small and medium businesses.
Of electricity imposed on the people of this country at an average 44 cents per kilowatt versus a world average of 28 cents per kilowatt hour is making this vital utility unreachable, unaffordable, prohibitive, and in the medium to long term, unbearable, Madam Speaker. We claim we want new entrepreneurs, new small and medium businesses and companies, but our utility costs make them non-competitive, and these businesses suffer the consequences of being short-lived, ephemeral in nature. In other words, Madam Speaker, they fold and they go out of business.
Coming up after the break, as it turns 5, BTEC says it has prepared over 1,000 persons for the workplace.
your fingertips.
Beltrade's Training and Employment Center, called BTEC, turned 5 years old this month. Today, the center, which specializes in preparing persons for the workforce, celebrated its anniversary. Back when it opened, it was to meet the growing needs of the business outsourcing sector in Belize. Fast forward to 5 years later, BTEC now offers specialized sessions for the public and private sectors, as well as job preparedness training and entrepreneurship skills for those who are seeking employment. Reporter Andrea Polanco tells us more in the following story.
The Belize Training and Employment Center, BTEC, celebrated its 5-year milestone today. The unit of Beltrade, which identifies as a leader in the workforce development, says that the work that they do has been instrumental in developing a well-trained and marketable workforce. It has also given many others the skills needed to create their own businesses.
We have moved outside of what our original vision was. It was first to meet the BPO needs, and we met that need. We moved on to meeting the needs of the private sector. The Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry approached us in December of 2014, asking if we would be able to do professional development workshops for their membership. We started our first set of professional development workshops in January of 2015. And we have been partnering with the Chamber since then. Every year, BTEC is a part of their training calendar. To the point now that BTEC, we run our own training, professional development. We are one of the first companies that companies call when they want to train their employees.
Since BTEC opened its doors in 2014, it has trained over 1,600 persons in multiple disciplines to equip them with job skills to find employment. According to BTEC, 75% of those persons trained are now employed. Apart from job skills training, BTEC also offers professional development workshops in the public and private sectors. And to date, 1,745 employees have benefited from these BTEC sessions. According to Minister of Investment, Trade and Commerce, BTEC's impact extends beyond its 1,600 trainees.
Ms. Kelly spoke about the fact that we give skills and we don't necessarily offer jobs. Over 75% of the people who have gone through BTEC training course has found a way to have meaningful employment, either with an organization or by being able to start some small business of their own. Because when you plant a seed, and certainly that is the work that BTEC has done in terms of the 1,700 or so lives that they have touched over the last 5 years. When you plant a seed and you help to nurture that seed, you don't only help that one person, you help a family, you help a community, you help a country.
Trainees have received job preparedness training in hospitality services, entrepreneurship, as well as elderly persons care. BTEC has served a number of groups across industries, from inmates at the prison to survivors of domestic violence.
We went to Kobe in 2015 and we did a 10-week training program with the residents of the Kobe. Young men from the Wagner's youth, ladies as well as persons from the general population. And out of that 10-week training, persons were able to find jobs right within the prison system.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
Up next, the weekend highlights in sports.
For
Sports Monday is brought to you by Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection and the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Good evening. I'm James Satterley. Welcome to Sports Monday. Week 10 of the PLB opening season saw BDFFC hosting a strengthened Wagia FC inside the MCC grounds yesterday as both teams came in needing the 3 points with only 4 outings remaining in the season. It's Wagia looking to open the scoreboard as Gilroy Thurton attacks off the goal line, forcing BDF keeper Glenford Chimilio to concede a corner kick. Wagia comes back with this strike from Luis Domingos atop the 18, and again Chimilio takes care of biz. Folks, the intensity of this matchup is captured in this encounter between Ian Lewis of the BDF and Captain Elroy Quillen of Wagia. Fortunately, the escalation was denied by cooler heads. Football is surely unpredictable, people. Wagia is in command of the game when Jesse Argas powers this set piece from outside the 18. Goalkeeper Oscar Palmino is beaten and the BDF goes up 1-0 at the 24th minute. The struggle for the W continues to increase. Jaren Lambe and Luis Domingos battle for this possession. Domingos thinks he is fouled. The referee says no. Lambe's shot goes wide. Domingos gets this chance to tie the score from inside the box only to see the ball streak past the far post. Elroy Quillen offers this left-footed goal, but the ball inches over the crossbar. So we go to second half. Quillen fires this long-distance set piece that has power, but it's right and direct to goalkeeper Chimilio. At the other end, Jaren Lambert deals to Camilo Sanchez, who is victimized by this right foot swing from Jermaine Jones, for which the referee rules for the penalty kick. Jesse Argas gets the call and powers it into the back of the net despite a perfect read from the Wagia keeper, Oscar Palmino. However, Sanchez negates the goal by being in the box for the kicking of the penalty. Argas gets the chance to do it again, and guess what? He goes to the same spot, only this time it counts to give BDF a 2-0 lead. The BDF looks for more. Kyle Budna on the run goes to Camilo Sanchez, who sets up Jaren Lambe, and his right foot swing bounces off the far upright. Talk about a big-time save. Watch Donel Arzu free up himself for the left foot launch, only to see goalkeeper Chimilio snuff it out. Arzu comes back with the offering from on top the 18 line, and again Chimilio comes up big. Wagia continues with the relentless pressure. Gilroy Thurton's pass into the goal mouth brings confusion between Ralph Flores and the goalkeeper. Kenton Flores then seizes the opportunity to chest this ball into the net. Wagia gets onto the scoreboard at the 85th minute. Chavez mounts this individual effort, and maybe he could have found Flores in the box. He didn't. Ricky Ricketts gets the last gasp to tie the ball game for Wagia. His launch goes high. The BDF hangs on to the 2-1 big W. Other results from week 10 in the PLB shows that Verdes crushed Valley Pride 10-1. Hey, that's strange. San Pedro Pirates burned Assassins 3-2, while Altitude FC held Bandit Sport to a 2-all stalemate. Meanwhile, we just like to inform you that the Belize national football team will host St. Kitts in Nation League Cup play Thursday, 10th October, inside the Isidoro Beaton Stadium. You won't want to miss it. In results from the Future Football Club Little League Under 10 play, saw poor and famous Blanc Future FC 4-0 on 3 goals from Jacob Joseph. Joshua Espinosa, he got his in the W. Yabra FC beat Cesar Ridge 7-3. Tyreek Fraser hit the triple. Esmond Sanka the double, while Ali Thurton and Kevin Murillo hit one apiece. In under 13 action, Future FC Dunk Sports in Education 7-2. Cesar Ridge Blanc Berger 6-0, and Survivors smothered Jar Love 5-1. Now let's turn to the basketball scene. The Belize City Inter-Office competition unveiled its quarterfinals on Friday and Saturday. We caught up with Friday night's showdown between Dragons and Armed Forces. In heavy traffic, Kyle Young gets the putback to fall for 2 of his 9 game points for the Dragons. Ernest Tench, he replies for Armed Forces with the banker. Tench would score the game high of 16 points. Ian Rennie then deals to Gabriel Taylor, who led the Dragons with a team high 15 points. At the end of the first quarter, Dragons lead Armed Forces 21-4. We were in the second when Darnell Galvez deals to Shaquille Crawford, who lands the triple. Crawford would tie Ernest Tench for the game high with 16 points. Gabriel Taylor, he turns provider for Dragons as he deals to Kevin Hamilton, who would strike for 2 of his 13 game points. Dragons would disarm Armed Forces in a 75-68 final score. The Dragons move on. Armed Forces is eliminated. We also caught up with the Mars showdown with Police. Akeem Waters led Mars with 16 points. His teammate Elton Anderson struck for 3 triples and would put up 14 points in the 79-70 win over the Police. Sheldon Williams was the top scorer for Police with 18 points. Albert Langsworth hit 3 3-pointers, and Matthew Young put up a double-digit 12 points. Mars move on, and the Police bows out. In other results, Tough Enough eliminated Boys 75-69, and Coast Guard rolled past Health in a 71-62 big W. Hey folks, that's our show for today. Certainly hope you enjoyed it. We invite you back same time, same place next week. Ja over all. I'm James Adderley.
Sports Monday was brought to you by Berger Paints for lasting beauty and protection and the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Foyar. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, good night.